By the end of this video, you'll know exactly when to stop your cut using the 4-step protocol that I used for my cutting phases. The first step you've got to take to determine whether it's time to end your cut or not is assessing your quality of life. How do you feel for the majority of your day? This especially applies to you if you're constantly cranky and just tired for no reason. You're not jolly or happy or introverted. You're not even thinking because it's too difficult for you to think. And you also don't want to talk to other people because it's just too much of a chore for you. If you're going through all of that, then it might be time for you to end your cut because you're probably in too big of a calorie deficit. But if you are in this situation, then you should already have a visible six-pack. But if you are going through all of those symptoms and you are not lean, then you might have some other problems, and being on a cut isn't really your problem. When I say assess quality of life, it doesn't just mean quality of life when you're awake. How is your sleep? Do you feel recovered when you wake up in the morning? Do you feel rested? Do you feel like you're ready to take on the day again? Or is it just like, oh, fuck, another day, gotta get through it again? If you feel like that constantly every single day, you might be in too big of a calorie deficit, or you might have just been cutting for way too long. So how you feel when you wake up is one thing. The other thing is, how do you feel when you go to sleep? Are you unable to go to bed because you're too hungry and your stomach's like cramping up constantly? Now, if you're too hungry to go to sleep, you could have one of two problems. A, you're super lean and you need to stop your cut. B, you're just not timing your meals properly. You need to fix nutrient timing. Now, if you've actually been cutting for a long time and you're lean and you're shredded and you're just cutting even more just to see a little extra like vein pop in your abs and you're sacrificing your sleep for that, I think if you're in that scenario, then I think you need to reassess your entire reason for starting fitness. Because I'm not saying the vanity is bad. By no means am I saying the vanity is bad. In fact, I think that it should be made more acceptable to train for vanity. But problems start to arise when vanity trumps health. The other massive indicator of you being on a cut for too long in terms of lifestyle is libido. So if before your cut you used to wake up every morning with a fucking steel rod, and then now you're waking up to just like a limp snake, you get what I mean. I'm being very like, I'm using euphemisms here, but you get what I mean. Then you might have just tanked your testosterone by depriving your body of nutrients for too long. If you're like 25, 27 and you're going through all of these problems, you could have actual problems that you need to have looked at by a doctor. But your libido should be just fine in your early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, even your very early 30s. Your libido should be great. If you're 45 years old, 50 years old, and your libido isn't as good as it used to be, that makes sense. But if you're 25, 27, and you're not waking up in the morning with your soldier saluting you, then that might be a problem. Yo, just got done editing the video and I realized that I forgot to add this. The body fat percentage that you experience these symptoms at is going to be different for everybody. For me, I'd experience all of these negative symptoms at around about below 12% body fat. You might experience these symptoms at 15% body fat. I personally believe that every male on the face of the earth can get to 15% body fat and stay there pretty comfortably for extended periods of time. But listen to your body and prioritize health over vanity. The second thing you've got to do is assess your hunger. How often are you hungry and how severe is your hunger? Now, we're going to talk about how often you're hungry. If you are hungry all the time, literally you wake up hungry and you go to bed hungry and you're hungry throughout the day. First of all, you should be super lean if you're in that scenario. Again, if you're experiencing all of the symptoms that I'm talking about, you should already be super lean. And if you relate to all of the symptoms that I'm talking about and you're like 17% body fat, then you have to fix some shit in your diet. You're not lean, but you're going through all the problems that someone at 6-7% body fat goes through. Fix your diet. But if you're hungry all the time, then it's probably time for you to end your cut. And then the second thing is, how severe is your hunger? Is it kind of like when your stomach's empty, there's no food in it, and you can tell that it's empty, but you don't necessarily want to eat? It's just, I'm not hungry, but I'm not full either. I can tell that there's no food in my stomach, but I don't want to eat. If it's that kind of hunger, then it's all right. But if you're constantly fantasizing about food and you can't even have conversations with people because your mind just drifts and wanders and thinks about food, then that probably isn't a good thing. So if you're very hungry very often, you should also be very lean, in which case it's time for you to end your cut. By the way, if you want me to assess everything for you and help you get in shape for free, send me a DM on Instagram using the link in the top comments or the description. Third thing you've got to assess is performance. If you lost a significant amount of strength, Are you a lot weaker than you used to be on all of your lifts? That's one thing you've got to consider. The other thing you've got to consider is how easy is it for you to get tired during your workouts? If you have an hour-long workout and you're tired halfway through, then that's a problem. An hour-long workout is very short and it should be very intense. And when I say tired, I don't necessarily mean breathing heavy. I mean like you can just tell that you don't have any energy left in you and you just get drowsy and like sluggish halfway through your workout. That's what I mean when I say tired. And it should be very apparent to you if you're doing cardio. If you're going on a 5 mile run and you usually do 5 mile runs pretty easily, and then on the third mile you just notice a sudden dip in energy, like a all of a sudden, like you're running, everything's going well, and then all of a sudden you just start feeling drowsy and tired and slow. It's not like the normal feeling that you get when you do cardio. I'm not talking about the I'm talking about like a like you're just tired. I know I just made a bunch of weird noises to explain what I mean, but if you do cardio, you understand what I mean. The fourth thing that you've got to assess is physique preference. Bro, let me ask you this question. Do you really want to be 5% body fat? Do you like, I want to be single digit body fat? Like a lot of people say that. Here's what 5% body fat looks like. It's just freaky. Veins everywhere. Every single muscle on your body is visible. A lot of my friends are like, yeah, bro, I want to get down to like 5% body fat. I want to look like this guy. And then they show me a photo of a guy who's like 12, 14, maybe even 15% body fat. I'm like, bro, that's not 5% body fat. You can have visible abs and a very good looking physique at 15, 14% body fat. When I looked like this, I was 15% body fat on the dot, maybe even a little bit over, and I had a visible six pack. Most people underestimate how fat they are and overestimate how lean they need to be to see their abs. You don't need to be single digit body fat to see your abs. Like I said, I had a visible six pack at 15%, maybe even 15.5% body fat. If I got down to 12%, I would have pretty much visible abs all the time. If you want more advice on fat loss, then you can watch the videos on my channel or just send me a DM and I'll help you out for free.